Yamaya, Amama, Yamama, Yamama, Amama, Yamama, 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 Yamama.
Okay, recording.
Okay.
So when you're home, the phone is moved to. You can't, when you can play Shabbos, you can't.
Okay, so we're in the middle of this top section. On page 12. The line begins with the word kulhi, the abbreviation of kulhi. So we have discussed the principle that the Oyer HaKav is an Oyer Pnimi. Oyer Pnimi means that it relates completely to what it is intended to accomplish, it's not accomplishing, so to speak, by the way, inadvertently. It focuses in on the end that it's accomplishing, and that is due to accomplish, and accomplishes it by the focus, not by virtue of an infinite capacity. Look at Oyer HaKav, and this is reflecting the fact that kulam b'chokhma osisa, that it's nimshach through chokhmah. This is the principle of chokhmah. We discussed it at great length this morning. But the principle of chokhmah is that it identifies the through point of what is being given, what is being intended. And this was we discussed yesterday, this morning, and other times, and the principle of guarding that the oyer should stay within Kedusha and not be usurped and be drawn into Klippa. That is the effect of the fact that it's Pnimi and it's guarded by Chokhmah. And we had a little difficulty even this morning. And the principal question that seemed to be bothering many people: if this is an oil that comes from Kedusha, and it is nimshach entirely by the Kedusha intent, how is it possible that it should have any connection to Klippa? How can it be even related to Klippa? Despite the fact that we explained that to stay in Kedusha it has to be recognized, not just the message, the oil that is being given, but its relationship and its connection to the giver, to the source. Like we mention all the time, but the Rambam says that there is a Motzi Rishon, there's a first being, Mamtzi kol nimtza brings everything forth into existence. That seems to be far enough. Okay, so I know there's the first creator, the first being, and then Mamtzi kol nimtza. He's here and I'm here. No, that's not enough. All the Nimtzoyim came to be because of the truth of his existence. And they are continuing to depend on that truth. And they are true existences only if they recognize this truth. And if they recognize only the grand principle that the quality that they represent, but not that the tendency that they're actually representing this truth, then that becomes clear. And this is why it is the quality of Chokhmah that is accomplishing, because Chokhmah has this beetle. What does beetle mean? Beetle means not it doesn't exist. Like we always mention this principle, Naaseh v'nishma. Naaseh v'nishma means I exist, but I exist. First, the beetle, there is an Naaseh. As a result of my Naaseh, then I am able to also learn and understand. So, total a beetle is not the point. The point is that the beetle is that whatever I have is representative. The real truth is the source from where it comes from. Not it's the presence of itself. As we always point out, lo sig zoy, lo sig noiv. You must not take other people's property. It's a very common, it's a very easily understandable principle. And here are the two perspectives. You must not take someone else's property because it belongs to him, and you will be disrupting the social operation if you are taking other people's property. That's klipa. If you the real understanding of lo signiv is that the whole world belongs to Hashem, and you cannot disrupt. When you take other people's property, you're violating this reality. You think that this object that belongs to him. Oh, big deal, so I'm taking it from him. You don't realize that there's an inherent truth in his presence, in your presence, in everybody else's presence, and each one has a presence allotted to him and granted to him by his Creator. And if you're violating his presence, you're violating the Creator. This truth. For this, you need an element of beetle. Okay, we can further elaborate and talk about it, but this is, I think it's clear enough. Okay.
This chokhmah is sort of a part of the kav. It's like a feature of the kav.
Chokhmah, kum b'chokhmah, she said. The kav was nimshach through chokhmah. That's what it said. Through chokhmah. What is the chokhmah element? He was nimshach in a pneumistic manner to accomplish and very focused. Like I mentioned way back when, maybe even recently, if a person has unlimited wealth and he wants to benefit the people in the country, there are two ways to do this. One way is he takes the walls off his storage house, and everybody comes from every direction and takes whatever they want to take. Let's say that the content of the storage really is enormous, and they can continue on taking for a long time. Contrast that to he is keeping the storage house and opening up a window or windows which are manned by people who are serving this whole operation. And everybody walks up into the window and he says, well, I need such and such. And he's given what he is asking for.
Mm-hmm. This is the Chokhmah element.
This is the Chokhmah element.
The Chokhmah Sita. That's to say, each entity has a provision that's perfect for it. Too much would be, little more would be too much, a little less would be too little.
Right.
And here by this mashal, it seems like the problem with distribution, but this is all milamaila. It's like according to a design from above.
Mm-hmm.
The window is the point, not only that he's getting exactly what he needs, but also that he's dependent on the giver. As opposed to if he went into the whole expanse and he really forgot about the giver, he could get into the expanse. He could take the same exact thing, but it's much more, he's dependent on the giver when he's at the window.
Right. And let us understand, okay, Father, what's so great about being dependent on the giver?
Like at the table.
He is what's so great about being, because if he's just taking, he's taking according to what he wants. When he's being given, he's receiving that which the giver wants him to have.
Go ahead.
And
let's project.
yeah.
Let's project the Indian. To understand this, I will go to the real Chokhmah and then come back to the Moshel. Moshel, it's too physical. It's more difficult to see. The principle in Chokhmah, to know where it's coming from, is to understand this following principle. Again, come down to very simple. You have to sit by a table and eat with a spoon. Why is that? Is it because it's meat? And because I can't stand a dirty table or a dirty floor? Better eat this way? Or because it's a human thing to do? The human element is not defined. There's no spoon in the human being. There is nothing in human nefesh that says, okay, you were born with a spoon in your mouth. You're not born with a spoon. It's a completely different reality. Chokhmah takes it from the real source and translates it in a practical way. That way, when it comes to Chokhmah, there is a realization that there is an etzem, there is a truth behind whatever you have. With the other process of Chokhmah, you're taking it like, what is the difference between money earned or money stolen? Stolen means that you're taking money that is already there and just take it. You're taking money from money. Earned, you're taking money from something that you created, from a real source. Do we have that? Not yet? Yeah? We spoke what the Gemara says. This is a very profound human union. The Gemara says, which means a person prefers one measure of his own to 9 measures from others. And we discussed it at great length. What is the rationale in this? It's irrational. The point is, kaf shaloi means that he planted it into the ground, and he saw how the Rebbe created from one kernel a whole stalk. For him. He sees it coming from a real source. That's real. Tisha Kabbos is a big deal. So you go, you have a couple of dollars, so you get your wheat. What is the reality of it? This is the Chochmah. To appreciate this, you have to be a Choch. Pikach, Alon Nosiv Malka.
When we first started speaking in the Maimer, it talks about the idea that it's kind of explaining another function of the Kav, is that through the Kav we make sure it goes to Makam Harai. And then we said this happens through Chokhmah. But the more and more we speak about it, it really seems like the Ikka here is Chokhmah. The Kav is really secondary to the function which Chokhmah is providing. The whole thing is by Chokhmah. Chokhmah is what gives you the source, and therefore Chokhmah determines that it goes to the Makam Harai.
Chokhmah determines the Makam Harai via the fact that it provides a Kav rather than a flood.
But the inyan of Midah Agbala is synonymous with Chokhmah. I mean, you can't say you couldn't have something which comes from Chokhmah and then comes in a way of flood.
That's what he said. That's why it's a Kav. The Kav is Kav Midah. Where does it get the Midah from Chokhmah?
So the Kav is like the result of Chokhmah, and it's not that we're saying, since we're speaking about the Kav, let's just give you kind of like a layout of where is it. Really the Iker here is the Chokhmah aspect of it. The fact that it's Chokhmah, therefore, comes out from that a Kav.
That's right. Kav is a reflection of Chokhmah, yes. Here again, you're pointing to this exact point. Are we talking about the mile of the Kav or the mile of the Chokhmah? Why are you talking about the Chokhmah, or the source, rather than what you have? That's exactly the point. This is how easy we can lose track.
The mashal, the giver, is that reality, basically. That's that real, the inherent, the truth. No one gets that through the window.
Right. Okay. You have a place to sit here? Here's a seat. All right. Okay, again, we are starting in the middle.
No, I'm shaking. I'm deliberately shaking. Because I'd have to hear this a few more times over.
Is it Shmuel? It sounds like Shmuel. All right. Please mute your phone. Okay, so we're in the middle of the top section of page Vov. The line starts with Kuli. זהו גם כן עניין חוכמה דתורה. This too is the principle of Chochmah of Torah. The Shoresh Chochmas HaTorah he b'bchinas Chochmah Hagduma Deyak. The root of Chochmas HaTorah is in the aspect of Chochmah Hagduma of Ak. We'll discuss this briefly in a moment. The terms of Chochmah Hakduma Diyak. Hakduma, Chochmah Hakduma, the pristine Chochmah. The Chochmah, the origin of Chochmah, the way it is in Ak, in Odom Kadmon. Ak is Odom Kadmon. Odom Kadmon is the Madrega that refers to this is a reference to the Madrega that immediately follows the Tzimtzum. The first Madrega, what's called after the Tzimtzum, is called Odom Kadmon. And that Odom Kadmon, this is the beginning of the Kav. And the topmost element of that is called Chochmah Hakduma. Vehi b'bchinas kav hamida. And it has this quality of kav hamida, of the measuring stick, shemoideid, which measures hamshochas hatzinair me'oir ein soy baruhu. It measures how the tzinair, how the flow should come from oir ein soif. So it must be recognized two things. This is an oil that comes from Oil and Seif, and that has to be recognized. There is an Ein Soif element in this oil. And despite the fact that it's an Ein Soif element, it is Nimshach, it comes in the form of a kav, of a measured process. As it is expressed in the Torah that we have, the Torah Shalfoneinu, he bir ha-mitzvahs, the Torah is that which explains and defines the mitzvahs, eich uma yeh ha-mitzvah, how the mitzvah should be, what the mitzvah should be, and how it should be done. Zehu hamedino v'amedido v'eifan hamshochas v'yislapshus ha'oiris. This is the measure that defines how the oil is nimshach and mislavish in that mitzvah. Shaldei asis a mitzvah zu that should be accomplished by performing this particular mitzvah. I'm sorry. There's a comma here. Shaldei asis mitzvah zu, by doing this mitzvah, yiyam shochas ha'oil kach v'kach. The oil will come in such a manner. Similarly, in the very source, bechinas ha'chochma de Torah, in the very top. This is Amshocha v'chochma, the way it is in mitzvahs. Bim koira, and on the top of that, he bechinas ha'chochma de Torah, the chochma of Torah, he hamnido is the measure, eich yumsha ha'kav ha'tzina min so baruch. How the kav should be yumsha from Ein Sof. Again, I just want to reiterate because this is easy to lose. To remember, every mitzvah, every mitzvah represents an absolute truth, not a functional value that can be understood on the at the worldly level. It is a presentation of Ohr Ein Sof. And it brings Ohr Ein Sof into the world. In what manner? In a manner that the world can take it and deal with it, and it remains Ohr Ein Sof. As I point out, if you learn simple halachas pertaining to financial dealings and all kinds of different things, it boggles the mind when you stop to think for a moment. How you read it, you learn it. I said read it almost correctly because it seems that you can almost read it, and you are right here, right in the world. But if you stop for a moment, you know that you're looking at something else completely. I'll give you, the mishalim for this are rampant. Give you a very simple thing. I mentioned many times that a shomer, a watchman, who is obligated to watch, who obligated himself to watch somebody else's article. And there are, as we said, the Torah said there are 4 different categories of shomer. 3 categories, 4 different types of shomer. Chinam, Shemesocha, Seicher, and Shoyel, and borrower. And the borrower is the most responsible. He's obligated. If you borrow somebody's cow and the cow dies, you have to return him a little cow. And here's the din of the Torah. It sounds like, it makes perfect good sense. And then there's one notch in this whole structure. That if the owner of the cow, of the article that you borrowed, did any kind of service for you at the time when you borrowed the article, then you're exempt from any responsibility. Sorry. You're exempt from any responsibility. I challenge anybody to make worldly sense out of that. When you say any responsibility, meaning literally any responsibility. In other words, even if he Pesheya means he was negligent in guarding this article. The minimum you should do is not be negligent, is watch it. If somebody comes and steals from your house, okay, you couldn't have. But if you lost it, just negligence. Exempt from anything. Here's another example. You borrow somebody's article and you don't specify the duration of time that you're borrowing it for. So the thing is that the minimum, the standard duration time is 30 days. You borrowed the article for 30 days. Automatically, you didn't make anything up. Then this man says, I need it back. Nothing doing. Huh?
Nothing.
You can get it back. You want to borrow it from me, you can borrow it from me. But you can have it back. That's halacha. All of these halachas are based on the principle that this is your article, but it's your article by virtue of the fact that Hashem declares it as yours. It's not your article because you own it, you hold it in your hand. That type of ownership is insignificant. Like we say, always the contrast, the human ownership, lahavdil versus the animal turf, the guarding the turf. That's not called ownership. Why not? What's the difference? Because the human being owns part of the world by godly decree, not by his power of hold, like the lion is holding his turf. And that has its personality completely, and that never gets lost. It may be yours, it may be yours, it's yours. No, it's a Meibershin's. And if it's a Meibershin's, then it belongs to the one that the Meibershin gives it. And if you borrow the article from him, this moment the Meibershin gave it to him for this duration of time. There's no way you can change that. Why, he borrowed it from me? No. He borrowed from you, now it's his. Not because of your ligees, because the Meibershin declared this is his. Because to begin with, it wasn't yours 100%. It was yours by virtue of the Meibershin's support, principle.
Does that mean it's not absolute when we own something? It's only absolute secondarily to Hashem's bestowing?
Of course.
It's not.
I'm explaining the whole time what's the difference between the lion protecting his turf and the human being owning something. I know it's not so easy to understand, to grasp it. We can't grasp it unless we have the Chokhmah first, the beat, to know that everything belongs to the Meibesh. Then we can begin to understand what Torah is talking about. Torah is not constitutional law, humanly agreed upon law. It's a divine law. If it's a humanly agreed upon law, for example, we have like this, we have our Torah. The Torah is given to us, the Jewish people, which deals with all the nitty-gritty laws. And then there is the Inyan that the Shema Mitzvahs Bnei Noach. One of the Shema Mitzvahs Bnei Noach is that they have to establish laws of justice. Over there, they don't have any specificity, because their laws of justice are really based on human ownership, on keeping the peace in the world. There's no divine principle there. And the Torah does not provide for any guidance. All of a sudden, the Torah begins to deal with all kinds of different things. This shemer, that shemer. And if you steal, you pay double, and if you shech, you pay 4 times. What is this about? Because we're talking about God's world, not the humanly owned world. And here it has to be conducted according to divine principle. Okay? And again, I have to re-emphasize. The principle in all the mitzvahs and all the hamshachas is not how it keeps the peace. It is the oyer eleki that is nimshach to the mitzvah. The oyer eleki, the divine presence that is recognized in mitzvahs. So, Zoke is a mitzvah. Zoke is not a kindness between two people. And it has this power of Hamshachas HaOyer. And we always say that we have to remember the Oyer element rather than the Mitzias element. Okay, let's continue. So it says, in the very top in the source, the Chochmah is that which measures the tziner, the kav that comes from Ein Ein Sof. Because Ein Ein Sof is literally Ein Sof. And from the perspective of Ein Ein Sof, it's not that it measures it in order to preserve the resource, to make sure I can have enough resource to supply life for 6,000 years. That's not what it's about. This is Ein Ein Sof. The point is that the measure is for the sake that there should be the element of Ein Ein Sof nimshach to this medida. Zehu, and therefore this is the point. She'atoira nikras derech. This which we say all the time, that Torah is called derech, a pathway. What is the derech element? The derech is lihiyois, being that yamshoch aserin soyboy uameis hu alidei hatoira. That it's called derech because this is the pathway via which Ein Ein Sof can be nimshach into the world. And as we explained, the b'chinas hakav, regarding the kav, shenikra b'shem tziner, the derech. The kav is called tziner, it's called the conduit, and it's called a derech, a pathway. Sheyesh beizim yonim, that this pathway and this tziner, the kav, has two inyonim, namely, as we said, that it should be nimshach everywhere appropriately, according to its suitability, that it should be nislabish with pnimius, and it should be a real presence, and it should be guarded that it should not fall off and lose its way, lose its perspective, and become a messias of klip. K'moi kein b'Torah. So likewise in Torah, yesh leimar, that in Torah also there are these two inyonim. There is the guard. Yesh leimar, that these two inyonim in Torah can be identified as follows. Shezeh b'chinas oisir ha'Torah, b'chinas ha'oir sheba. There is in Torah two inyonim, oisir ha'Torah and oir of Torah. The oisir ha'Torah, this is the hislapshus, this is the keli. It's really a phenomenal inyan that the whole Torah, all that grand presentation of godly presence in the world, is contained in a given number of letters, precise letters. Oisir ha'Torah. And through these oisirs is nimshach all the whole Ein Ein Sof. And then there is b'chinas ha'oir sheba, there is the oir aspect that comes in Torah. The oil in Torah is the like we said before, in a mitzvah, there is loy signoy, there's the precise the precise statement that what should be done, what should not be done. Then there is the oir that represents the godly element, the truth behind it. It's not just the ugliness of the act itself. Let's say of Geneva. It is the oir eliki that comes with it. That is the oir that comes through in the Torah.
How does this correspond to these two things that we just said in the Kav?
In the Kav we have the Hamshocha from Oirin Seif, that Oirin Seif should be Nimshech everywhere. What's the Oir? And then there is the guard, that it should go through in a proper way and it should not fall over.
And so in Torah, the Oisios correspond to the first thing and the Oir to the second? It seems like it should be the reverse.
That's right. The Oisios correspond to the guard.
Okay.
You can't deviate from these Oisios.
Uh-huh. The Oisios keeps the Or from going off track.
That's right.
Would an example of that be, like Rashi says, that you can't put whatever, 5 parshas into tefillin or something like that?
Right. These are the Oisios in mitzvahs. In Torah, the Gemara says that Shlomo HaMelech wanted to make some kind of a change in Torah. So the Rizal said, Yedi Shlomo, Verav Kimoisa, that Shlomo be lost and 1,000 like him. And there's not going to be any change like that.
What kind of a change did he want to make?
I don't remember what it was about.
Pictures.
Pictures?
You want to put pictures.
Spell check.
The Ragachover God said that the entire Torah from Breishis till Enikol Yisrael, the Beis and Lamed, from the entire Torah, the entire structure of the Torah is one long word.
Name of Hashem.
It's one long word. And just like in a word, if you transposition one letter, it's a completely different word. So too in the Torah.
Who was that who said they wanted to add pictures? Was that Merenfeld? Was I right?
Come on, identify yourself. Nobody's going to snitch on him, so if he says it, fine. If he doesn't say it,
okay, it's okay. I'll see the video later. This is the video.
You won't see the video because it wasn't focused on him. Never. No. Gam yesh leimar. Furthermore, in regard of the Inyan of Torah, how it corresponds to the Tzinoir and the Kav, it can be said the following way: Zeh Inyan, that this is the Inyan that says Oite Oir Kasalmo. Oite Oir, he spreads light Kasalmo like a garment. Sheyesh Ba'Torah Beis Madreges. That in Torah there is 2 madreges, Bechinas Oir or Bechinas Salmo. The Bechina of Oir, of light, and the Bechina of Salmo, of a garment that covers everything. Liheyois ki haTorah hi hamamutza, because haTorah is the intermediary. Shemechaber esoir in soif im oilemes, that connects and unites, that connects Eir in soif with oilemes. Liyois bahem oir pnimi, so that in the world there should be oir pnimi, internalized oir. Whereby they, the worlds, can unite with Ein Sof Baruch, even though it's world. And world and Ein Sof are as far apart as possible, and yet Torah enables this chibur that the Ein Sof should be misached with Oilums, because the Ein Sof becomes an Oil Pnimi in the Oilums. So again, let's get a perspective on this Inyan, that it becomes an Oil Pnimi, and therefore Nisach Be'er Sof Baruch. We had many, we discussed it a lot, but let's take a really focused element of that. It becomes Oil Pnimi Nisach Be'er Sof. The Alter Rebbe says a very simple thing, and he says the following thing: Hayad shemechalek tzedakah, the hand that disseminates tzedakah.
Disseminates tzedakah.
Yeah. The hand that gives out tzedakah. Let's understand this. When a person gives tzedakah, who do you attribute this gift of tzedakah? To the hand or the person? The person. That's the way we see it. What is the absolute truth in this? The absolute truth in this, the person gives tzedakah because there is a mitzvah of tzedakah. Because there is a oil leki in the world that defines tzedakah as a mitzvah. The conduit to tzedakah means that you take a penny with your hand and give it. The manner that this occurs, the conduit for the execution of this mitzvah, comes through the person's nefesh, to his rotzen and noineg and the seichel and midas, until it goes into the hand, and the hand gives us tzedakah. The hand at that moment is mamash miyuchad with Ein Sof.
No, there isn't. I'm gonna bring some. With ice? No ice? Okay. No problem. Thanks so much.
This is in fact the principle. Somebody's phone is not muted. We really ask you, please. This is how the Alter Rebbe says, this is how you mevared the world by Torah mitzvahs. Because through Torah mitzvahs, the actual physical element becomes part of the mitzvah. This is the pshat, that the oil is mislavish b'pnimis. In other words, in order to give tzedakah, you have to be aroused to give tzedakah. You have to be, you have to make a decision and so forth. And then you have to actually pick up the penny and give it with your hand. So you would think that giving it with your hand, that's insignificant. That's already something that you do. It's not part of the mitzvah per se. The mitzvah is ended on time when you made the decision. So he says no. The mitzvah is all the way to the very bottom, to the final execution of taking the penny and giving it tzedakah. Those are the pshat that is an oil pnimi. The Torah didn't say be kind, be good, be a human being, be inclusive. That's not what the Torah says. The Torah says give tzedakah. The Torah says v'ahavta l'recha kamecha, and it means it very, very specific and very precise. Torah says you should not bear false witness. False witness? What kind of, this is inhuman. That's all the Torah had to say. Say, be a human being. Doesn't say that. It says, don't bear false witness. All the way down to the precise situation, precise act. That's what the opinion is. Do you understand the point? This opinion, this is what facilitates that the Oil is actually mislabish in the world. When the world becomes taken over by the Oil.
Someone gives tzedakah by having their bank do a recurring payment every month. Is it lacking like a mitzvah aspect of it?
Not if it's going to me.
I just want to say, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Well, to be honest, there is something missing. What's the halacha? There is something missing. From many aspects, from many perspectives. The action is definitely significant. The actual action, if the action is lacking, automatically, so it's lacking. The birur, the physical birur is missing. But as the Alter Rebbe explained, by tzedakah there are two aspects. There is the how the giver is giving and the recipient is receiving. There's a story that you with Alter Rebbe, I think, with somebody the Alter Rebbe was a guest in some inn, and the owner of the inn was a very successful person, and he did a lot of tzedakah. He did a lot of wonderful things. And he said the Alter Rebbe, he realized that this was a very special person. He didn't know the Alter Rebbe this. And he found, this person I can pour my heart out. So he had the Yechidus in the Alter Rebbe, and he said, I do wonderful things. But I'm constantly feeling that I'm doing wonderful things. And I feel there is something very, very, the godliness is missing in my action. I feel horrible. The Alter Rebbe said, that's because you have personal satisfaction. Does that mean that the poor person is lacking in his benefit? He has the full benefit, and therefore your mitzvah is also complete by that fact. So this is in the docket a special inyan that like you said the halacha that if you lost $1 to somebody and only found it and it's mishayah for them, you have the mitzvah of mishayah on. But in truth, what you ask is a valid question. But the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, that the Rambam says that you should give, that tzedakah there's a special benefit in giving tzedakah multiple times, in smaller quantities and multiple times. Why? For two reasons. First of all, there's the physical act. Multiple times there's multiple birur of the physical act. And then there is also the countering of one's own Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, the fact that you promised $100 and you give it in five installments of $20 each, does not make it easier each time you give the $20. Each time you give $20, it's another fight with the Yetzer Hara. And these little battles, they're significant. So in the case of these automatic reductions, the hand action is missing, and even these little sub battles are missing because you're not even aware of it, and it goes automatic, and but it's still very good because the benefit to it is much greater.
Don't cancel.
The benefit is much greater. Okay, so this is the pshat. In Torah there is oir and bechina and selma. Because oir, the inyan from Torah is that mechaberes oir in soif itoremus. Li is bahem oir pnimi, that oir in soif should be bahem in the world oir pnimi. An internalized oir. That the world should be a participant in the oir in soif purpose, in the Ein Sof effect. Whereby they become united with the Ein Sof. Give you an illustration. He gives tzedakah. And clearly, as we said, the main thing in tzedakah is the taking of mansha. We give tzedakah with the right hand. But he gives tzedakah with the right hand. Because a mitzvah has to be done with the right hand. One of the reasons that we put on tefillah on the left hand is so that the putting it on will be done with the right hand. You put it on the left hand so that the right hand will be instrumental in putting it on, because a mitzvah should be done with the right hand. What's the difference? The main thing is it should be on your hand. No, how do you do it? The pnimi. Pnimi is all the way to the last notch. It's a real action. An action done with the left hand is not a real action. An action done with the right hand, that's a real action. So that's how a person acts with the right hand. In other words, the mitzvah of Torah is not just the result, but the way it happens, the process is part of the mitzvah. This is open. Al kain, because of this union of Torah. Somebody must be buzzing.
No,
Somebody's burning the dinner.
that's a smoke alarm.
Either smoke or carbon monoxide.
Oh, smoke. Okay, so that's taken care of there. Al kain yesh b'Torah beis bechinas. This is why in Torah there is these two bechinas. V'hu bechinas galia de Torah. And the two bechinas are the galia de Torah, the revealed part of Torah, shebo bechinas midu gvul, which express which everything in galia Torah comes in the form of midu gvul. V'zeh bechinas salmo, that is the salmo, the garment. Then the bechinas oir haTorah, the Torah, who bechinas sosim. The oil Torah is the beginning of sosim, the hidden, the concealed part of Torah. Shabbat, the sosim shabbat, the sosim that's in Torah. Shabbat, bli gvul. This is the bli gvul in Torah. There is the finite element Torah, and there is bli gvul in Torah. Shazeh Omar, regarding this second, the oil Torah, the Pasuk says, Arucha meyeretz midah. That the Torah is greater than Arucha meyeretz midah. It's greater than the measurement of earth, of land. That from that perspective, there is absolutely no measure, no limit in Torah. This is the source of the Torah. And in our little experience that we had, we could see that in one line of a Maimer, he could sit for 3 days. And if he wanted, he could sit 3 more days. This is it for this evening. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. Good night.
Does anybody know that if there's a sponsor of the Shabbos?
You would know.
Who would know?
You would, if there was one.
Not necessarily. I would have forgotten because we had a lot of milk in between.
All right. So I'm going to shut it off, I guess.
No,
It's not over there.
So,
Wait,
so we need a sponsor for this Shabbos to bring him.
Yo.
1, 2, 3. Brother, keep your head up. I know you're fed up, but the Jews got the move. Lech lecha, don't let up. Things get in the way to discern. Ooh, thank you, Tati, for letting me learn, letting me earn, and taking my turn. I know you know one day I'll return. Ooh, the favor's deserved, 'cause of your word, even kinder than mom and you I prefer, over and above the world. Oh, I won't fade away, 'cause the very next day, back in strength and here to stay, reflecting like the moon. Oh, 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 na-ni-na, oh, oh, ah-me-na,